Wait.
That's a Chromebook with the Everything button, so you can find things instantly. From files to apps, even answers online. Who says you can't have everything with the Everything button? Switch to finding things instantly. Switch to Chromebook.
Hey, you know the drill? It's me, Mr. Krazik, again. We're about to see Firefly Alpha launch from Vandenberg. Oh my god, I got that wrong. I'm tired. I'm sorry if I sound like I'm a complete scratchy person. Just really, really tired. Yeah, so yeah. Wait, I'm getting back. Okay, here back alive. Yeah, don't sound that good, but I'm still energized to see this launch. It feels that I'm a bit early. Oh no, what does that say? Please you just say 800 and not 850 because that would be horrible. 800, phew! Okay, about this is the Firefly launch. Yeah, stuff. So, what are we going to see today? We expect to see a successful launch of, as you can see by the thumbnail, Firefly Alpha FLTA 001. I hope I didn't get that wrong, but yeah. See this fly. This live stream will start 60 minutes before the launch, but of course we might have a hold. That's just the Stars Company, and I'm expecting it to be a kind of similar of the Astra launch we had a few days ago. But I hope it isn't exactly. Like I hope we can launch today because normally. Okay, wait. Sometimes we launch it earlier when that happens. But sometimes they can do it farther into the launch window, make the launch window more longer just to prepare. And I am not staying up always a lot. No. Hope it launches on time, because I'm gonna be full of pain if it doesn't launch on time. Full of pain. Full of pain. So let's see what will happen today. What will happen today? Let us see what will happen today. Today. Okay, I'm gonna be right back with info. So, let's see the info what's gonna happen on today's flight. So, time, subject test time, they will go live at T minus 60 minutes. So, when they go live, I'll be, clicking that live thing button. But let's not think about that. And also, something special, every astronaut is helping them do this live stream. Kind of similar to the Astra way. They asked NASA spaceflight to do it. But now they're asking every astronaut because I feel like he's just the most inspiring. I'm sorry, every astronaut, no puns intended, but just like it isn't, your content isn't as explainative as them, and well, every astronaut, it kind of feels like I'm learning in the moment. Like every astronaut's my teacher. But yeah. So let's get the info about the flight. Firefly Aerospace is the next private rocket company that aims to achieve orbit with its brand new Alpha launch vehicle. Alpha liftoff from Vandenberg Space Force Base, USA, and targets a 30-kilometer low Earth orbit (LEO) in which it will deploy multiple payloads. On board of the FLTA001 DREAM mission will be Firefly's DREAM payloads, which consists of technical and non-technical payloads, ranging from CubeSats and DNA samples to pictures of loved ones. Aww, I wish I could get my picture up there, but yeah, maybe. But okay, so let's see the info. But flight. Let's see when it's expected to fly. Remember, the launch window is subject to change, so it might change. We never know. So the launch window, they have September 2, and they have September 3. Wait. September 3. Oh, it's the same day, but just at different times. Okay, the mission name, as I explained before, is FLTA001 DREAM. It's Firefly's first mission. Firefly Aerospace will be launching the vehicle. The customer is, honestly, there's several customers. It's not only one person. There's several. So Alpha will be launching this. As you can see on the screen, it accomplished the static fires just a few weeks ago. And that was it for testing of the launch vehicle. Location, a Slick 2, as you can see on the thumbnail. The payload mass is 92.115 kilograms. Satellites are going into a 300-kilometer low Earth orbit at 137 inclination. Will they able to recover the first stage? No, they will not. Where the first thing land? The Pacific Ocean. That's pretty sad. They will not recover the fairings. It's not capable of the Alpha. It's very new, yes. The Weber looking at the Weber. I think so. It's Vandenberg. Vandenberg Slick 2. So let's see the Weber. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Check the Weber. The Weber looks good. It looks sunny basically all day until they get into that 12 a.m. period. This is for Eastern Daylight Time. So yeah, I think it is. But right now it's 67 Fahrenheit. I think this is Air Force. I'm looking for the Space Force. But that's all they got, and okay. And the thing is, I think it never snows there, which is pretty bad. So that's why I probably would live there, because I love the snow. I love it. Like, some adults don't, but I do. I love the snow. Okay. Let's see. Let's go back to the live stream. They had 8 minutes and 41 seconds, 40 seconds, and counting until they lift off. But, for the next minutes, I'm probably just gonna let you listen, to some ribbons from every astronaut. Dance. Hope you like it, because that's basically what all I got for here.
Admiral's cross-channel retargeting keeps shoppers on the path to purchase with your business.
Sometimes instructions get skipped, but you keep going. Shifting gears.
We are going to be
مكتفية كشك مكتفية 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 Al
Because I just got it. Okay.
Vehicle ever built. We've engineered almost every part from scratch using the best modern technology. It is the world's largest all-carbon fiber structure rocket and is propelled by Firefly's innovative, patented rocket engine technology. Over the past several years, we've built and ground tested a lot of hardware, leading up to the fully flight qualified vehicle that now awaits first flight on the launch pad. Many people have asked me what to expect today. What's the probability of success? To be clear, the rocket on the pad is built to deliver its payload to orbit, 300 kilometers above the Earth. And my expectation is that it will do exactly that. Everything we've done from ground testing to computer models tells us that this vehicle is capable of reaching orbit. Having said that, it's a test flight. There are aspects of liftoff and flight that we can't fully test on the ground. Our computer models need flight test data to be more accurate. So success today means getting as much data as possible to improve our computer models and other design assumptions. I think the most gratifying part of today is recognizing how far this team has come. Firefly has an incredibly talented and hardworking team that has really gelled and come together over the past few years. We have a team capable of solving very difficult problems, persevering through setbacks, and following through to completion. In short, the Firefly team gets things done. We'd especially like to thank our partners at Space Launch Delta 30 and everyone at Vandenberg Space Force Base who supports launches from the Western Range. I feel incredibly fortunate today as we head to the launch control room, attempt our first space flight mission, and take a major step forward as a company. Godspeed, Firefly.
Hi, it's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Welcome to a really, really exciting launch, a launch that I've been waiting for a very, very long time. I am surprisingly somehow your official host for tonight's attempt for Firefly with their Alpha rocket. This is actually a really, really big deal for me. I've been talking with Firefly for basically the entire year as to how can we stream your rocket together. And the coolest thing to me is that they came back to me, they reached out to me and we've been kind of communicating, trying to figure this out. But my favorite thing is they said, Tim, we just want you to do what you normally do. and we want you to just share a rocket with the world. And their level of transparency has been incredible. So I'm really, really excited to let you know that we're running the show here, and we get to kind of just do what we normally do, which is a huge testament to Firefly. So thank you, Firefly, for trusting us with this launch, trusting us with this stream, which we know may be having some issues as we speak, actually. That's probably part of the problem of trying to do things between different parts of the world at all at the same time. But the cool thing is, right now, as we speak, we do have a rocket on the pad getting ready to launch. So let's do what we always do with every time we get ready for a stream, because anytime you have any question about rockets and rocket launching, we have a solution on our website at everydayastronaut.com. You can click on upcoming launches, and you can click on our pre-launch previews. And today, if you check out our pre-launch preview for this particular launch, you will see the Firefly FLTA001 DREAM. This is the alpha launch. So let's go ahead and run you through this today. So starting as far as their launch window, as you see in our countdown clock in the top right-hand portion of your screen, we are sitting at T-minus 50 minutes. That's today on September 2nd here in the United States. This will be September 3rd for those of you east of us. The launch window begins at 1 UTC and goes through 5 UTCs. So they do have a 4-hour launch window that is 6 p.m. Pacific time through 10 p.m. Pacific time. So that is their launch window. But so far, they're actually tracking the beginning of their launch window. We actually have, we'll be able to pull up mission controls audio later on for you guys. But currently right now, it's all internal. But they're actually on track for a launch at the beginning of their launch window, which is, I don't know how they're doing this. I mean, this is the company's very first launch ever. And everything's running very smooth. So pretty impressive. I'm being told to reload the pre-launch preview one more time. And so this is the mission name for this is FLTA001, which is DREAM. That's also the DREAM mission. We'll talk about that in a second. This is Firefly's, as I mentioned, their very first mission ever. The launch provider for this is, of course, Firefly, the customer who's paying for this. There are actually several customers from all around the world, and we'll be talking about some of those in a second. The rocket for this is Firefly's Alpha rocket. This is their first rocket. Now, of course, they've got kind of bigger plans down the road, but for now, this is a very impressive. It's actually currently the largest small sat launcher that is hitting the pad out of this new crop of small sat launchers. It's a very ambitious rocket. We'll keep talking about it here in a second. Launch location, this is taking off from SLC-2 out of Vandenberg Space Force Base, USA. This is actually a really cool launch. I should have pulled up, I have an old picture of me running at a Delta II rocket in my old flight suit. And the picture was real from, it was Orbcom, or what, not Orbcom, it was from OCO2, which was a carbon observatory mission that was launched on a Delta II back in like 2014, I believe. And I took that picture from that mission. That's the only mission I've actually been to in person at Vandenberg. And I had photoshopped myself in a flight suit. So this pad, I've spent a lot of time there because that day I remember they had problems rolling back the old launch tower. So it's cool to see it stripped down here for Firefly, how simple and elegant they've made everything. It's really cool to see it modernized. That was an old launch tower and a launch infrastructure. They've just clean slate design. It looks beautiful. It's so simple. It's just really, really cool to see what they've done to that place. So the payload mass for this. So today's mission is going to be, get this, 92 kilograms and 92, how do I even say this, and 100.115 kilograms, so about 203 pounds. That is a pretty light payload, but it's, it is a demonstration mission. It's pretty impressive they're actually putting real payloads on their first mission. That's telling you something. These guys they're ready to go. They are ready to go. So all right, this is so where are these satellites going? They are going to a 300-kilometer low Earth orbit at a 137-degree inclination. That's right. This rocket is actually going to be flying back.
As you see, that's everyday astronaut. I thought the astronaut would be a little more like he's gonna be at the station, but it doesn't appear in that, and I'm totally fine about that. Honestly, the rocket looks great from launch. They said 100% go, which is pretty cool. I can see some fog, it appears, in the background. I hope that doesn't come up, but everything looks good. Currently, everything is going good. Right now, I think they're planning. They're about 1 hour to launch, less than 1 hour, and I forgot to put the clock, and I'm completely crazy. But I'm sorry.
We are aware that sometimes there's dropped frames coming from Firefly to us. There's nothing we can do about that, but we have good audio, and also when we start switching to other cameras, you'll see some other views that are going to be absolutely worth it, I promise. Okay. So hold on. Okay, so my producer tells me that we might also still have some things wrong with the actual like core of the thing. We might have to refresh this feed in a little bit if it still remains choppy, but we'll give YouTube a little bit of time to see if it straightens out at all. But thank you for your patience, but we'll just keep going here for now. And if we have to refresh it in a little bit, we'll give that a try. So will they be attempting to recover the first stage? No, this is currently not a capability of Alpha. So the first stage will splash down in the Pacific Ocean. Will they be attempting to recover the fairings? And no, this also is not a capability Alpha. This is something that's something we've kind of got spoiled by, those of us that watch SpaceX missions. That's not actually normal, really, for any other launch provider. No other launch provider has even attempted to recover fairings so far. So as you would imagine, too, with a first demonstration mission, that would be a little maybe too ambitious at the very beginning. Anyway, let's get this thing flying. Let's get it working before even trying to do any other tricks like that. So these fairings are new. Weather is currently, get this, I have never heard this in my entire life. The weather is 100%. The weather report earlier today was 0% chance of weather violating range restraints. So in other words, weather's fantastic, and that's very unusual for Vandenberg. Vandenberg is typically, we almost like joke that it's just called Vanden fog. So it happens to be not foggy today, and it's just beautiful. So yeah. All right, so this is the first the first launch of Alpha, the first launch for Firefly, second launch from Vandenberg in 2021, and this is the 86th orbital launch attempt of 2021. So, and then of course we have some more of this. But if you want to read more about this mission, what does it all mean? I kind of want to talk about some of the actual payloads on this mission, because there's a lot. So let's see. There's some non-technical payloads, because they actually let people submit ideas of things that they wanted to send to space on this mission. So Liam, I'm going to absolutely not pronounce your name correctly. Fieldstead gave a photo for this mission. So he's flying a photo. There's Henry the Astronaut book from author Jonna Ocampo is going up on the mission. There is also LifeShip DNA samples. This is a company sending up little DNA capsules from two various corners of our solar system. So pretty cool idea. So that's another thing that's flying. There's also a handful of technical payloads. So this has the Libre Space Foundation Pico bus, the FOSA Systems FOSASat 1B/2, the AMSAT EA Genesis L/N. Then there's Hawaii Science and Technology Museum HIAPO. There's Teachers in Space Serenity, and there's Purdue University Spinnaker 3, which I believe is going to be their last payload deployed this evening, assuming that this vehicle makes it to orbit, which we're all cheering for, of course. So yeah, go ahead and read through this awesome pre-launch preview. We do have one more thing that I wanted to talk about that's really cool, and that's kind of where we're at right now. The mission timelines. Actually, Andrew can pull up a better looking version of this than what I've got, so that we can read it a little bit easier on screen here. They actually began pad checkouts at T-8 hours. And then they powered up Alpha at T-7 hours. So this thing's been out there on the pad all day. At T-6 hours and 50 minutes, they did sensor checks. At T-minus 6 hours, it did helium load, which is, of course, an inert gas that they use to backfill the rocket as it drains the fuel, so there aren't, any voids, and it doesn't end up like crumpling. That's how you maintain pressure. Okay, we actually have something that we need to do right now on comms. Believe it or not, we're going to get official confirmation of our very first thing in our timeline down here. We're going to get confirmation of whether or not the pointy end is up and the flamey end is down from mission control. This is an official thing right now. Let's go ahead and listen in. We're going to get confirmation here from mission control. So we're going to be listening into mission control audio. And I wanted to go ahead and get confirmation that the pointy end of the rocket is up and flamey end is down. That's what PEUFED is on our timeline. Pointy end is up, flamey end is down. We're listening in here. Andrew, I don't know if it's in program yet, unless they're just very quiet.
LD, this is CRS. CRS. I just wanted to confirm that the pointy end is up and the flamey end is down.
Giddy up.
Giddy up.
I love that. I love that. I love... What? I love that we literally just got the pointy end is up and the flamey end is down confirmation from Launch Director Adam Oakes. That makes my day. That's like, how did that happen? How did that happen? Okay, that is hilarious. I love Firefly. This is so great. Okay, so back to what else has happened leading up to this point today too. At T-minus 5 hours and 15 minutes, they actually began loading RP-1. Now, RP-1, when they initially loaded into the rocket, it's just obviously kind of at room temp and at low pressures. And then which is interesting because take note that T-minus 4 hours and 30 minutes is when they did pad clear. So you can actually have the rocket with propellant inside the tanks, with fuel, especially RP-1, because it's not cryogenic. It doesn't need to be highly pressurized. They can just fill it to safe levels to have humans still around. And actually, like the Atlas V does that as well. Pretty cool with RP-1 that it can operate at room temperature. So, yeah, that's always fun. But then they do pad clearing before the LOX load in. So LOX load was at T-minus 3 hours and 40 minutes. So that's obviously why you start to see these cryogenic, the boil off here. You see all this, what looks like steam and stuff coming off of the rocket. That is actually liquid oxygen boiling off and becoming a gas because it's obviously very cold. Liquid oxygen is down around minus 200 degrees Celsius. And as it warms up from the ambient air temperature, it expands 1,000 times its size and becomes a gas. And obviously you don't want your things inside of a closed system, inside of a closed tank, expand 1,000 times. Without venting it, it'd be very bad. So that is why you're seeing so much of that condensation boiling off of the rocket as we speak. And then we go into, so that's LOX load. So at T-minus 20 minutes, the countdown net is actually going to be going over the go, no-go poll. Now, unfortunately, we aren't going to be able to share that audio with you, but we will be able to pick up audio soon after that. So we will actually have mission control audio shortly after that. Stage ignites at T-minus 1 second and 79 something, 1.79 seconds, and liftoff obviously at T0. So, yeah, that's pretty much that. But I did want to show you one more thing from our pre-launch preview here and kind of talk about this vehicle. So obviously, if you guys are on your phones or on your computers, you will see Firefly Alpha. And what's fun is we have a render here from Casper Stanley, who actually did a side-by-side comparison of Firefly's Alpha versus what I consider one of the, an awesome launch company, Rocket Lab with their Electron. We're all very familiar with that rocket. They've launched it many times. I just want you to take notice of the size difference of Firefly's Alpha. It is actually quite a large vehicle compared to the awesome Electron rocket. So that is a scale, and that's Casper for scale there compared to a human. So these are still, relatively small rockets in the grand scheme of rockets because they are small lift launchers. But one of the things that's really cool about this rocket is that it actually is also carbon composite, very similar to Rocket Lab's Electron. So this is actually the world's largest carbon composite rocket that will have ever attempted to fly to orbit. So that's pretty cool. Another thing that they do that's super unique on this vehicle is they run it on what's called reaver engines. And these reaver engines, what's awesome about them is they use a cycle type called the combustion tap-off cycle. And this is something that's never again also cycled. This is something that's never again also never flown to orbit or never attempted to fly on an orbital vehicle. The BE-3 engine on Blue Origin's New Shepard uses a tap-off cycle, but that is not an orbital rocket. But that is actually, I think that might be the first tap-off cycle engine to ever make it above the Kármán line. This is the first time a company's attempting to use the tap-off cycle to get a rocket into orbit. The tap-off cycle is a really unique solution. It's relatively simple because you actually can remove your gas generator or your pre-burner from the engine, and you literally basically punch a hole in the side of your main combustion chamber, and you pipe that and have that actually be directed right at the turbine, which is what powers up your pumps. So the hard thing about that is normally one of the most difficult parts is, well, two things. How do you start that, right? How do you start your engine if it requires the main engine running in order to spin the pumps, and the pumps are what spin the engine, run the engine. So if the pumps aren't running, how do you get the engine running in the first place to get the pump spinning? Like, it just seems like one of those chicken and egg syndromes. What they actually do, though, is they will use nitrogen for the first stage. They'll use ground-based nitrogen to high pressure to spin up the pumps. They'll use that to spin through the turbine, get the pump spinning up to operational pressures. Once the engine is up to stable combustion, then that will take over and continue to run the pumps at that point. But the hard part about it, too, is that the engines typically run closer to stoichiometric ratios, which is a lot hotter than what you typically run a turbine with a pre-burner or a gas generator. Normally, those temperatures are quite a bit lower. You run them very fuel-rich usually, or sometimes, if you're like the Soviet engines, they would always, almost always run oxygen-rich. But you run it far away from anywhere near stoichiometric, and that allows them to be cooler and keeps it so your turbo pump machinery will not melt. So that's another challenge, is how do you solve that? And to be honest, I have no idea how they solved it. I have no idea how they make it so you can use the main combustion exhaust gas to spin the pumps. It just seems absolutely crazy to me. They solved it. It's a really cool solution, and they're using it on both their first stage and their second stage. So they also will use, they have a Lightning engine on the upper stage, and the Lightning engine produces about a third the amount of thrust, if I remember, 75 kilonewtons versus, total of 300. Yeah, so I think it's like 3 or 4 times 184. So yeah, about 2.5 times less powerful. And there's a single one of those as opposed to the 4 reavers on the first stage. But yeah, it's really cool. But in order to get that one started, now you might go, if they were using ground-based nitrogen, how did they get that started? The vehicle has some high-pressure helium bottles to spin up the second stage pumps. And helium is a better choice when it's on a rocket that needs to restart in air because it's a lot lighter than trying to compress nitrogen. Nitrogen, for the same amount of energy, basically, it's a lot more dense, so it'd be a lot heavier. So that's our pre-launch preview, and we need to thank Flo from our website crew for writing that pre-launch preview. Again, if you guys have questions, go check that out. I promise you'll hopefully learn a lot more than what I just blabbed on about, which is crazy because we're already at T-minus 30 minutes. I've been blabbing way too much. I haven't got to any of your awesome, I really appreciate all the people that are asking questions. We will get to those, I promise. And don't worry, we've got plenty of time for Coast. And I'm sure, not sure actually, at this point, they're kind of scaring me. They're actually going to go right at the top of their window, which is nuts, which means that, that's a great thing. So obviously, like we mentioned, at T-minus 20 minutes, we do expect Mission Control to give the final go, no-go poll and get into the terminal countdown. That's kind of what we're waiting on next, which is coming up in 13 minutes. But meanwhile, I wanted to do a little camera walkthrough with you guys because we actually have some really awesome cameras here for you guys, and I'm really, really excited about them. So, yeah, take a look at this. This is one of our main shots. Again, we do apologize that some of the frame rates are relatively low. But we might have to work some issues on the back end. But yeah, just enjoy these for now, and we'll keep going here. So this is another shot really close to the back of the strong back. And the flame trench, I believe, goes off from here to either the right or the middle. But yeah, super cool shot. The strong back is what lifts the rocket up and supports it as it awaits launch. Super cool. Next up, we've got another shot. This will be a cool shot to see the rocket go through once it kind of clears the strong back and clears the tower, basically, is what that would be. Then we've got another shot. This isn't the one that's tracking, is it, Andrew? Oh, this one is. That's a close tracking camera. That's a very close tracking camera. That camera will actually move with the rocket and track it as it begins to ascend off the pad. So that will be one that'll be really fun to check in on soon after launch. All right, next shot, Andrew. This is also another tracking asset. This one's actually infrared, which is very necessary at Vandenberg because normally these rockets end up flying straight into clouds or through fog and you can't see anything. And tracking assets are actually valuable for the launch provider and for the range to make sure that the vehicle's not having an anomaly. And if the vehicle does have an anomaly, it's good data to be able to look back on and see if there's, all the data, the better. And here is another infrared camera as well. So again, basically right back into, having the ability to fly through clouds and all that stuff. This one's actually really cool. It's from like very far away on a separate mountain and it's a little bit shaky, but it's also because it's very, very zoomed in on a long telephoto lens to be able to get that shot. That is also a really cool camera there too. So from the range assets. Now next up we have a camera that I cannot wait. I cannot believe we actually talked them into this. And for those of you that watched, I actually launched or streamed when China sent a rover to Mars. We stumbled upon Trench Cam. And ever since then, I have dreamed of this day when we can officially provide for you guys Trench Cam. So how awesome is that? This is full-blown Trench Cam City. Like this is an actual camera right there. Trench Cam, I can't believe it. We got access to Trench Cam. But believe it or not, Firefly, again, I'm not trying to butter their biscuits too much here, guys, but the level of transparency that this company has had has just been amazing. They basically just keep saying, sure, sounds good to us. You just do your thing. We were asking if there's a camera that could show engine gimbaling. And we can't show this very long. We're going to show you a real quick little preview, but then we have to turn it off. We have engine cam. We have flamey end cam. That's all we're going to show you for now. But we will be able to show you that at ignition, which, come on. If that's not the coolest thing, what? Yeah, so that's awesome. Trench cam, and this is blowing me away. We actually had an official pointy end up, flamey end down check. We have trench cam, and they even took it another level up and took it into engine cam, into flamey cam. So flamey end cam, yeah, unbelievable. So yeah. So that gets us into waiting here. We basically have 9 minutes where I'm going to answer a couple of your guys' questions until we wait to hear about the terminal count. So I wanted to first just thank off all of you that are tuning in and that have decided to become members or super chats. Of course, that helps me pursue things like this and try to provide streams for you guys as well. So thank you so much to members. Members and of course Patreon supporters, get ready because I'm almost done with the massive dialogue cut of the infamous family tree of the Soviet rocket engines. It's my most ambitious video ever to date. I've been working on it for way too long, and I'm really, really excited. Oh, look at that. We got some venting. That's cool. And I should need to mention too, by the way. Okay, so we'll get back into the Soviet rocket engine fiasco of me spending way too much time on it. But I do want to point out, don't forget this rocket is black. It's entirely carbon fiber. But you will notice that it looks half black, half white right now. And of course, that is because that's where the liquid oxygen tanks are. So the liquid oxygen tanks are what hold on to the liquid oxygen, obviously, and they're still black carbon composite, just like the rest of the rocket. But the craziest thing is that obviously that's really cold. Like I mentioned, it's almost minus 200 degrees Celsius. So that means that ice will end up building because there's obviously a lot of water vapor in the air. ice will end up building onto it, and you actually have a layer of ice on the rocket, which is why it's white in those spots. So it is a black rocket, but when it's fueled up and ready for launch, that thing ends up being half black, half white, which is just wild to see. It's just weird to see the actual physical formation of ice on a rocket that's going to have a flame that would melt anything, basically, coming out of the other end of it. I just love that. I think that's super cool. So, yeah. So in Discord, someone said it's entered zebra mode. Hunter Cut says the rocket has entered zebra mode. That's how you know this thing's ready. It is in zebra mode. So very, very, very cool. Yeah, so again, thanks to all of you guys. Get ready for those YouTube members and Patreon supporters. Get ready. We will be putting up a very rough version of the dialogue cut of that Soviet rocket engine video. It's coming in, actually, I think I read it a little faster than I normally do because it's so long, and I think it might only be about an hour and a half in length, which is crazy. Maybe an hour 40. But for those of you that like my long form documents, like basically documentary style stuff, this will be the ultimate one. I promise you that it will be the ultimate one. So let's see. I really like this sentiment here from our friend Musical Wolves. Very, very excited to see a launch instead of political space issues. Any launch is exciting. Team Space is awesome. Congratulations on hosting the official stream. Well, thank you so much to Musical Wolves. Yeah, again, we're just beyond thrilled to be able to do this along with you guys. Of course, my goal here at this channel is to bring space down to Earth for everyday people and just help you get excited about space flight. And I personally believe the easiest way to get excited about aerospace is to actually be learning about aerospace, is to learn some of those little odds and ends and start, learning about how this stuff works. Because I think when you're educated about a subject, that's when you really get excited about it. So obviously the whole goal of Everyday Astronaut is just simply to break down stuff that's complicated and try to make it explainable to you guys, normally through long form content that is, has a lot of good visuals because I'm a very visual learner. But yeah, this is the ultimate dream for me, having a rocket provider actually wanting me to stream their launch. It's just crazy. So, all right. So let's see. This is interesting. This is from Wily Coyote, again, about the buffer issues. If you guys have problems still with the feed, try refreshing or going back in the feed a little bit. But if we need to, we might have to refresh one more time. But I think it's probably stabilized a little bit. Again, the dropped frames of the rocket will probably maintain. That's been a persistent issue for us with this transport. But yeah, we appreciate your patience and hanging out with us. We think it's pretty cool that we have all these camera options and that we get this much insight to everything. So not bad for a first stream of an official rocket company. All right, so this is a good question again from Musical Wolves. Do the fairings have trackers even though they aren't being recovered? Are fairings considered space debris? Well, don't forget, fairings normally deploy soon after stage separation of a rocket. So when the first stage and second stage separates, the first stage typically ends up splashing down only 200, 300, 400, 500 kilometers downrange, depending on the trajectory and the mission. That's where the first stage splashes down. Now the fairing will remain attached to the upper stage, which will accelerate it a little bit more. But normally the fairings deploy soon after second stage engine ignition. So second stage will, kind of run for a couple seconds or, 20, 30 seconds, and then they'll do stage fairing separation. So those fairings are not yet orbital. Those fairings are still suborbital at that point because the vehicle, it takes another 6 minutes or so of acceleration to get a vehicle up to orbital velocity. So because they ditched their fairings before they... Oh, interesting. Apparently we're getting double face. Yes, it was. That was 100% my fault. We were seeing streams come up on my face. I am sorry. So anyway, so don't forget the vehicle doesn't actually get into orbit until much later on, several minutes later. So the fairings are still suborbital when they let go, which means they splash down 500, 600, 700 kilometers downrange. So they don't need to be tracked in space because they won't maintain orbit or anything. They will come back down 10 to 15 minutes after launch and then become little boats for a little bit and eventually be succumbed to the ocean where they become a coral reef. So yeah. Let's try to get to a couple more questions. Yes, this is a good question here from Norbert Daniels. Again, if you guys are asking good questions, we'll try to pull them up on stream when we have time. Doesn't a retrograde orbit mean more delta V required? So doesn't it mean more energy to get into a retrograde orbit? And the answer is 100% yes. So normally, obviously, if you're launching prograde, if you're launching with the rotation of the Earth, you get that extra bit of spin. So the Earth is helping, quite literally flinging you and giving you almost, I believe it's almost 1,000 meters per second, almost a kilometer of delta V. Is that right? Can someone let me know? I don't remember. Is it only like 400? I don't quite remember offhand. I'm sure Discord will know. But yeah, so the cool thing there is that that the Earth normally helps you get into orbit. Now, when you're going into a polar orbit, you actually kind of have to negate the rotation of the Earth, and when you're going into a retrograde orbit, you have to go opposite of the rotation of the Earth. So it's actually really hard. But remember, again, this rocket is capable of taking almost a ton of metric ton to low Earth orbit, and in that case, launching only 98 kilograms is nothing. So yeah, let me see if I was right. 460 meters per second at the equator. Thank you, Green Cobalt and Discord. Yes, I was way off. It's not a full kilometer of delta V. It's more like 400 or 350 probably from northern latitude. So yeah, so thank you very much for that. From Hunter saying the Firefly colors and everyday astronaut graphics is amazing. I love their color scheme. I think it's super cool. I love seeing that we actually have the Firefly green up on our screen as opposed to my typical orange. It's just fun to see. It's fun to see that kind of partnership. So yeah, huge shout out to Gravity Coast, to Allie for all the graphics that she's done. This has been a fun, and then Andrew, also our producer, making it into a cool interactive thing like this for you guys. So yeah, you guys, I have an awesome team. We'll put it that way. Let's see. This is a really good thing that I want to bring up from Orange man. Good evening, Tim, Ryan, and Mary Liz from Cosmic Perspective had a fantastic launch of their Road to Mars series. Have I seen it? I had to stop what I was doing today, set aside the 30 minutes to watch the first episode of Road to Mars from Cosmic Perspective because it was incredible. Those two work on something so hard and put so much effort into their videos. It's just unheard of. Their way of storytelling is amazing. If you guys aren't familiar, obviously, with Cosmic Perspective, they are who help us a lot during Starship launches down in South Texas. But it's really fun to see how they do storytelling, how they share their images, and it's just been an awesome partnership. So I'm so proud of the work they do, and that made me teary-eyed. Now, give us a second here. I believe we may or may not be trying to refresh the camera feeds here, so hopefully we can try to eke out a little less lag here for you guys. But we will get them back in just a second while we continue to answer questions. So this is a great question from Razenbot. Many light launchers now. Do you think they will all find a place on the launch market? That's actually kind of the ultimate question to me as an aerospace fan is there are a lot. I mean, I did a video about the small sat launchers that are kind of coming online right now, comparing some of the ones that are getting really, really close to flying. And Firefly obviously was in that. And I kind of said at the end of the video, I personally believe, if you can get a rocket on the pad and get launching and attempting to launch this year, you're probably on track for survivability. But if your first rocket for small sat launch is 3, 5, 10 years away, you're probably going to be just too late unless you do something totally groundbreaking, something completely different. But I think right now there is still some room for a little bit more, a couple more in the game. There's some really exciting rocket companies that are coming online here, and yeah, I think like I said, I think if you have a rocket on the pad this year, you're looking pretty good. But the race is definitely on. So Firefly, if they happen to get to orbit, I need to mention, by the way, guys, I don't even know if I've said this. At least no private company's liquid fueled rocket, no private company's first rocket has ever made it to orbit on its first attempt. The closest would probably be the Electron, Rocket Lab's Electron. The vehicle was actually good. They lost a ground track station that allowed them to continue tracking the rockets. So they actually had to terminate their first launch, but they were close. They probably would have done it, sans that. If Firefly happens to make it to orbit today, which again, remember, this is a test flight. This is the first launch of a brand new vehicle from a brand new company. If they get off the pad and start making some data, that's going to be progress for them, right? So we just want to cheer on any progress. But yeah, they're aiming for orbit. They're going for orbit fully. It's really impressive. You have to think about all the extra details, the guidance and telemetry. Okay. Poll is done. They are go for launch. That's awesome news. So we are now within terminal count. They're actually going for the beginning of their launch window for a new rocket company to be attempting their very first launch at the beginning of the launch window. This is super impressive. I'm starting to get chills here. This is awesome news. So yeah, that is super. I can't believe that. I'm sorry. I've been tracking this program for so long now that it's just hard to believe that they're actually going for it already at the beginning of the launch window on their first attempt. So let's see. Yeah, this is nuts. The enthusiasm on my end, guys. I'm sorry. I will probably move the mic when it gets closer to launch. I actually try to tamp my enthusiasm on air, believe it or not. I know that sounds impossible, but I get really, when I've been working on this stuff, and following it for so long, you get really wrapped up in it. Just like sports fans, you guys know what that's like. I guess I am a ultimate spaceflight nerd, and I get really excited about this stuff as well. So yeah, I would never, like I said, I actually try to tamp it down a little bit for you guys, but I'm starting to get chills just thinking that we're only 17 minutes away from T0. This is crazy. So yeah, we're gonna keep going. So actually that made me think about, I've been following this company for a while, but the first video that I ever saw of them, they released about a year ago, I think, maybe a little beyond a year ago, and it was them reaching out to ask people if they wanted to have their payloads flown. So Andrew, if we have that video, I actually wanted to roll that. And also I wanted to roll, we also have some really cool footage from them from some of their testing campaign, because this company has really, really, really cool stuff. So we're gonna pull that up here for you guys in just a second. Like I said, this was the first video I saw.
Making space for everyone has been an essential part of Firefly's vision and dream since the day we began. We've been working tirelessly for the past few years to develop Alpha, a game-changing small satellite launch vehicle, and finally, our first launch is within sight. I'm proud to announce today that we're extending the capacity of our inaugural launch to you. That means we've reserved a spot on Alpha for you to send up whatever dream payload you can think of. We're calling the flight opportunity Dedicated Research and Education Accelerator Mission, or DREAM Payload. We encourage educational institutions, startup space entrepreneurs, or any other institution that has big space dreams to visit firefly.com and tell us about your dream space payload. On the website, you'll find all the details and specifications you need. We look forward to hearing from you as Firefly marches toward first flight, perhaps with your dream payload aboard.
So yeah, like I said, that happens to be the first video that I ever really caught of them, because they've actually been around for a while, but they had a restructure of their business. They used to be Firefly Space Systems, now they're Firefly Aerospace. So they actually had a clean slate rocket. So they basically started over only about 4 years ago and got out to the pad this quickly, which is extremely impressive. Again, everything I'm talking about, by the way, is like unscripted. It's just me talking to you guys about this stuff, which again, thank you, Firefly, for even trusting me with any of this stuff. But yeah, so it's pretty impressive to me, again, as an outside perspective, to go from a clean slate design and a new company restructure to only 4 years later having a rocket at the pad. Honestly, super cool. Another base out of Austin, Texas, their headquarters. Oh, also good news is we can actually listen in. We're going to pull up mission control audio. So if anything does come up over the comms, we will hear it live with you guys. So we'll all be informed together. Again, another transparency thing from Firefly. They're giving us a listen in to their mission control. Super, super cool. There is actually a few more videos. So, as Tom walked away there, You did see that
T-minus
there's
14 minutes. RC, please contact the range and coordinate to begin recording RF tapes at T-minus 10 minutes.
Confirm.
this field. Sweet. They're going for it. They're going for it. This is crazy. So, okay. There was a few more videos. They, like I said, they have an awesome set of videos for their testing campaign. I actually wanted to run just a few of those testing videos for you guys because it's really cool. So this that you'll see is a startup of 2 of their Reaver engines.
Ground side separation between CFAB and simple verification has completed. T-minus 13 to T-minus 10, we will now report action. In the event of an abort, we will perform the following steps. We'll confirm there are no fires around the engine, utilizing siren outside LP. Confirm the fires we'll confirm vehicle health. Tube object closed. Bubbles active. That's when verify other vehicle things. Confirm ground side health. Two side tank is active. Spin system active. To confirm that the range we're able to power down the unit.
Trying to hear you.
We'll power off stage 1, stage 2 FTS.
I just wanted to kind of point out a few things here about these videos. So this is at their site, which is about 45 or an hour northwest of Austin, Texas, kind of in the middle of Texas. But this is one of my favorites because it is the all-up test of their first stage booster. That's the one that we see right here, right now. This is performed, I believe, last year. Now I wanted to notice the engine gimbaling there. I wanted to call out something interesting about the way that their engines steer. They're actually only single-axis gimbals, but because you have four engines, 2 of them can go on one axis and 2 of them can go on the other axis. So between the 4 engines, you actually have all 4 axes of control. Now, this is also a little clip from one of their, this is a short duration static fire they had at Vandenberg Air Force Base on the pad just about 2 weeks ago, I believe. They did some static fire testing. I just thought this was really cool. Slow motion video. You gotta love it. You will notice there's a bright green flash at the beginning of the burn, and that is using TTEB. So they use the same igniter fuel that the Falcon 9 uses to light up its engine, and that's triethyl aluminum triethyl borine, which is a pyrophoric fluid. So as soon as that comes in contact with liquid oxygen, it begins to combust. So it's a nice, simple ignition fluid. Super cool. So you actually could see that at the beginning of that attempt. So yeah, we're going to keep listening in here to comms. We're hearing a little bit of chatter. It's fun to hear some of that stuff about, like, you know, what if this or that happens? They're going over all their procedures. But we are within T-minus 10 minutes. I kind of can't believe it. Yeah, this is pretty wild. But yeah, real quick again, back to the engine gimbal. So I want to be able to use my hands to talk because that's how I normally talk. So basically, you have a set of engines that can gimbal this way, a set of engines that can gimbal this way, and between them, you can do roll by having them all kind of gimbal opposite each other, or even a pair just gimbal opposite of each other. You can go, pitch or yaw just by using a set, and basically together to be able to do pitch or yaw with those 4 engines on just a single gimbal axis. That's pretty unique. But it's one of those kind of simple things, like why put 2-axis gimbals on every engine if you can get away with only using one? The best part is no part. So super cool. Man, yeah, again, sorry, I'm still just like, I'm trying to catch up to the idea that this thing's actually going to launch in T-minus 9 minutes and 40 seconds. All right, so let's see. So this was again from Musical Wolves asking about Trench Cam. Again, I hope that you guys saw our camera walkthrough. Andrew's kind of giving you guys a little taste of things, but we do have Trench Cam in this broadcast, which is unbelievable. Super, super, super cool. So we're really, really excited to be able to show that. Now that'll get obviously completely smoked out almost
LCR.
immediately.
See, countdown 1. Range confirms. Recorders are on.
Copy.
So basically, they're tracking assets. The cameras are on and recording, which is a good thing because especially when the vehicle is fueled up at this point, it is awesome to be able to see it at that capacity. So, all right. So, this is a nice little fun thing. Best first launch stream from any company. Hope it doesn't go sideways. There's been some, the most recent Astra launch was unbelievable. I couldn't believe with the NSF crew doing that stream, the fact that the rocket made it away from the pad and began to actually ascend was really cool. I was cheering like crazy. I was doing the disbelief sign, what? As it was power setting off, it was an incredible amount of guidance and control for that rocket.
Can we get stage 1 fuel tank repress?
But again, really excited that this rocket is ready to go. That Firefly is letting us stream their first attempt ever. That's so cool.
It's up on the left screen.
Go ahead.
Copy.
PC, go ahead and change that. Flight software takes care of it for what we want in the last 30 seconds, so you're good to support.
Cool. All right, let's keep going here. So yeah, again, this is from Alexander asking, how does retrograde orbit affect payload capabilities? So it can be, I think it's about, so normally if you're going from like a normal prograde orbit to say a polar orbit, you lose about 30% of your performance. I'm actually not sure. I think you still lose only about 30, maybe a little more when you go retrograde. I think you would actually lose a little bit more. But you, like I said, though, you do actually have to still negate your velocity, your rotational velocity when you go into polar anyway. But yeah,